I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of the Wellness Revolution podcast. And on the Wellness Revolution podcast, we talk with people who are making a difference in the health industry, who are bringing new types of technologies and merging things together to really create a healthy system here in the US. And today we have the CEO and founder of Zen Sleep, and his name is Sunny Liang. And Sunny has one, he's a really bright guy. He came from Wall Street background, and he is putting together a system to help people with insomnia. And he has quite a story for why he's doing what he's doing as well. So, Sunny, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here. So, can you share with our audience who you are and what you're about and what got you into doing what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark, for your audience, just a quick intro. I'm Sunny. I'm the CEO and co-founder of our company, Zen Sleep here. What we do is basically sleep coaching and data analytics, help really focused on folks with insomnia and sleep problems like myself. We're using CBTI, or what's cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, the most scientifically proven non-invasive solution to help people really build better sleep from the ground up. And this all kind of comes from my own personal story. I started my career on Wall Street, worked there for half a decade. So really long hours with very little sleep, and my insomnia got really bad. It got to the point where I had to go see an actual sleep doctor. And I remember going in his office. The first thing I said was, "Hey, doc, give me a pill, all right? I want to get better sleep." And he said, "Time out. I don't want you on pills. These things are really bad for you." And that kind of changed my mindset around sleep and
Wow.
medicine. And he coached me through CBTI to get to better sleep. So I wanted to take that experience and create a more tech forward and accessible solution. And that basically became what we have now as Zen Sleep. So that's a
Hmm.
little bit about my background and kind of what we do.
So you went to a medical doctor and he coached you on getting better sleep?
Yeah, Mark. Yeah. So I went to an actual sleep physician. This was back in New York City a couple of years ago.
Wow.
I think one of the cool things that he did was he didn't just throw pills at me, right? And I think
Right.
one of the issues is most people, let's say you're having sleep problems, you go to a primary care physician, your GP, your family doctor. Look, they've got 1,000 patients, right? They got 10 minutes with you, and they're going to say, "Hey, all right, try Ambien for 2 weeks. If it doesn't work, come back for more," right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, my own late grandmother was on sleeping pills the last 25 years because of this dynamic. Because, she went to a doctor who's never had sleep training. And, they just say, "Hey, take more pills, right? You'll sleep better." It doesn't work that way because people,
Mm-hmm.
once you start taking Ambien or other kind of sleep help pills, you get reliant on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't understand your relationship with caffeine, with exercise, with alcohol, or in sleep science, we call your circadian rhythm and sleep debt, none of that's going to help, right? And you're just going to have to take more and more of these pills, and they're really bad for your brain. They're sedative hypnotics that shut your brain off,
Mm-hmm.
and people shouldn't be on this. So I was lucky to find a good sleep physician, and that kind of kept me away from these dangerous pills. Now, the issue, Mark, is there are only about 7,000 or 7,500 board certified sleep physicians in the country. So it's very hard to access these folks, right? If you're in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of rural Texas or Central California, you're probably not going to get a good sleep doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, people, the first thing they do is they go to their physicians, and the physicians don't understand this. They start taking pills. So what we want to do is really turn this dynamic around and have people try CBTI first before going on dangerous pills.
Well, I'm just running the odds of what your chances was of finding somebody who, instead of throwing a pill at you, coached you, and would have and how that was a pivotal moment in your life and the starting of your company. I mean, talk about some really cool timing, divine timing on this. Amazing. And to
Yeah.
have the background of your mother going with the pills as well. Wow,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely, Mark. Grateful for that experience, and yeah, it's really an issue. If you look up Eminem sleeping pills on Google, he had a great interview a couple of years ago where he talks about maybe 10 years ago or so losing about 5 years of his career just because he was addicted to sleeping pills and he couldn't function. And he eventually got over it, and hopefully through CBTI as well. But it's a real problem. We've talked a lot about painkillers, and
Hmm.
oxycontin in the past. I think sleeping pill addiction or reliance is really going to be the next thing in the spotlight. So we're
Yeah,
here
yeah.
to help people, live healthier and not rely as much on these.
Yeah. So tell me about the technology you developed.
Sure, sure. Yeah, Mark. So Zen Sleep, anyone, you can go on the App Store and download this. It's a great sleep coach, as we like to call it, right in your pocket, right? So it's on your phone. It's an app. My co-founder, who's a board certified sleep physician, and I created a proprietary questionnaire, basically mimicking what any good sleep doctor would ask you. So when you
Mm.
sign up, you go through a 10-minute questionnaire that asks you, hey, how much caffeine do you drink, for example? When's your last cup of coffee? What would you sleep in late on the weekends and things like that. And for anyone that's seen a sleep position, these are all the standard questions. So based on those responses, our algorithms come up with customized what we call daily sleep hygiene routines. So stuff you got to do from waking up to going to bed, right? When you got to cut off your last cup of coffee, when you should exercise, how long, what you do got to do before you go to bed. And we send you reminders, right? So you keep track of these things. And then for anyone that has a wearable, we're linked with all the big wearables like Apple Watch, Whoop, Fitbit. And we pull these data points and we show you, okay, because you're doing these things we're telling you to do, you're actually building better sleep over time. Right? So instead of throwing 5 or 6 daily numbers at you, we don't want to stress people out. We're taking the long-term view of building
Hmm.
better
Hmm.
habits and improving these things. So yeah, Mark, that's really kind of the core of what we do. Everything's backed in CBTI science. Again, this isn't rocket science, right? There's no secret trick. It's really maintaining these good
Mm.
habits. And one thing I will add is recently we also, for anyone that downloads the app, you'll see we trained an AI sleep coach on
Mm.
ChatGPT. So we spent a couple of months training it and giving it logic, and it's really good. So well, a lot of times people will go to a good sleep position, like I did a few years ago. But you're up at 2 in the morning. I've got questions about, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? What should I do? You can't just call your sleep physician at 2 in the morning, right? So
Hmm.
what we've done is basically created a 24/7 AI coach that you can talk to. So if it's 2 in the morning and you're a little stressed out, you can start chatting with our coach in the app, and that coach will actually give you scientifically backed advice that also links with what we're telling you to do on the app originally. And that really helps people, I think, get more support, right? Because
Yeah.
insomniac myself, the last thing you want to do at 2 or 3 in the morning is reading more about, gosh, like why am I like not sleeping and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Once
you
you get
want
that
to
mind going, man. Whoa.
exactly, exactly. So we've got tools, we've got a meditation and sleep sound library in the app too that can help you relax. But yeah, it's really just based on our experience, as a patient and provider, creating something that's more accessible, right? Because
Gotcha.
again, it's sleep science is, I'd say that it's still very nascent in a lot of ways. A lot of my buddies that have gone to med school at the best, medical universities and country, like they spent 2 days on sleep, right? And it's really mind-blowing because
Hmm.
this is the core root issue for a lot of things over time, whether it's cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, and
Hmm.
heart disease.
Right.
Uh, there have been so many studies that have shown without good sleep, you can get sick very easily. So we're trying to help people. People often think, oh gosh, only people in their 60s or 70s or later start having, sleep issues. And well, it's not true because a lot of young people have these.
Hmm.
And they don't realize how important it is until much later on. So, even
Yep.
as a 25-year-old, you should start paying attention to your sleep. It's not just your diet. It's not just, exercising, not smoking and drinking. Sleep is actually a super important thing.
Yeah.
So I think
Especially
we're in a
type,
good spot right
especially
now.
like the
And
type A personality people, man. That go, 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 run,
yeah,
run, run, run it more, more, more. And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
Mark, to that point, I encourage your listeners to look up a Kobe Bryant interview, the late great Kobe Bryant. A couple of years ago, he I think it was through Ariana Huffington's podcast. It was a great interview where they asked him like, "Hey, Kobe, like what was the turning point in your career?" And then he frankly said, "Look, I was there's no one that worked harder than Kobe Bryant. We all know that,
yeah.
right?
Right.
And the guy that was insane, right? He lived and breathed basketball. It's like I'd get to the gym at 4 in the morning, the first guy there. And then, I'd work so hard. I got to get my physical treatment and everything, but I was still playing like crap. And eventually he's like, why is this happening? It's like, wow, I realized because I was sleeping 4 hours a night, like not because I was partying, it was because I was studying film to midnight and I was waking up at 4. And then it sounds like, hey, buddy, you're like, maybe you may be a basketball
Yeah.
god.
Burn the
You're still
candle
human.
both ends and in the middle,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. So you can't just run on a short fuse, and even the great
Yeah.
Kobe realized, wow, I got to get my, 7 to 8 hours. And once he turned that around, I think he won his first MVP, and just really took off. So, if Kobe, someone as good as him can do that, I think we can all take a step, to realize how important it is, right? I'm not saying any of us are as athletic as he is, but even if a normal 9 to 5er, right, we need to sleep, right? We need to actually take care
Hmm.
of this early on. And I think the saying of sleep when you die, right? That's just a horrible
Yep.
advice, right? That's just a horrible thing that really needs to go away. I had my bosses tell me that when I was on Wall
Yep.
Street. It's a big reason why I left because you start hearing about
How
people.
did you stay up on Wall Street?
Yeah, well, Mark, a lot of caffeine, a lot of caffeine. That was the issue, right? And I'll say this too, because a
A
lot
lot of
of
drugs out there in Wall
yeah, well,
Street. Yeah.
I never partook in that, but I knew that was going around too. Then
Mm-hmm.
that's even worse, right? But
Mm-hmm.
for the caffeine, I remember drinking, we drink coffee after getting dinner just because we're up till 3 or 4 in the morning cranking on, an M&A deal or whatever. And the issue, and now that you've touched on this is so a little bit about the sleep science, right? Caffeine by itself is an inhibitor of the release of melatonin. So
Right.
melatonin is something that our body naturally releases,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what calms you down to go to sleep at night. You can also take melatonin supplements. I did that for a number of years, but then I went off of it when I started this company because I had to walk the walk.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with caffeine that people don't realize is it's not, people think of it as like, oh, it gives you a jolt and then it's over, right?
Mm-hmm.
For people with sleep issues, you need to cut off caffeine at least 7 hours before your bedtime. Right. And that's something that I didn't realize until much later on. And I was like, oh wow, now that makes sense. Because when I was an investment banker, I'd get home at 3 in the morning and I still couldn't sleep. Why? Because I was drinking coffee at 11 o'clock at night just trying to get through the work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that becomes a vicious cycle of me trying to self-medicate with melatonin and try to go to sleep in the morning, not sleeping much. And then I get to the office, at 9 in the morning the next day, exhausted. I drink more coffee, right? So that's just a vicious cycle that I've seen so many people go through, Mark. And then look, part of it is with some jobs, right? You have to do things to get through. But I,
Mm-hmm.
I think even for a lot of my friends who are still on Wall Street now, after trying our solution and hearing me sort of preach this, they've moved towards a better lifestyle, right? It's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you could still drink caffeine, but just maybe not 2 hours before you're supposed to go to bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And alcohol is the same thing, right? And there are a lot of other triggers too, but if you use our solution, you'll learn about these things
Cool.
and really, like be on the right track, right?
Gotcha.
Don't deviate too much
Gotcha.
there every day.
Got a couple more questions for you. How are you making money with this product?
Yeah, Mark. So we're like any subscription app, right? So you can download this and you can pay out of your own pocket right now. So that's kind of our main revenue stream. Now, one of our big focuses right now is making it more accessible, right? So here in the U.S., we're working with some health systems, some insurance companies. So let's say you're part of a big insurance company like United Health. The
Right.
goal is in a couple of years that they would cover this, but that's kind of a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing official quite yet that I can say
And
publicly.
what's the
We're all,
investment? What's the investment for the consumer?
yeah, so it's $60 a year, Mark. So you
How
pay
how much? Six
sixty
sixty a
dollars.
year?
Yeah, a year.
660. Five
Yeah, six.
dollars a month.
Yeah, $5 a month.
What a deal.
Yeah, I know. And Mark, look, we're not printing money doing this, right? One of the things that my co-founder and I really believe in is we want to make this accessible, right? I think the
Yeah.
accessibility word is really what we believe in early on. Look, we can charge. We know sleep coaches that charge $300, $400 a session, right?
Right.
I'm nothing against them. Look, we do pretty much everything they do, and you know what? We actually do more because we'll remind you to do these things every day. And we actually take your data from your wearables and really coach you. So that's been, that's really our strategy of why we want to make it affordable. We want to scale. And then eventually, our goal is to basically make this free. With the NHS in the UK, what we're working with them right now is that they understand it's a public pandemic, right? Because they're a government national health
Mm-hmm.
system. And, for them, it makes sense to not have people go to the hospital every day. Unfortunately, from our side, if I go to my local hospital here, the truth is they need those surgeries, they need those chemo treatments to stay in business, and that's something that is just it's a tough realization, Mark. But that's
Mm-hmm.
an issue with our own national health system. But you go to the UK, for example, you go to East Asia or Scandinavia, when they're government backed, they actually want people to be healthy. They want people to stay healthy so that they don't have to have that major heart surgery, right? So they're starting to look for solutions like us that are preventative health, right? That's not
Hmm.
just reactive medication surgeries, right? Let's help people start living healthier earlier. So with
Hmm.
them, the goal is to really make this free for everyone in their country, right? And if the government pays me, I'm fine, right? I don't have to worry about all the marketing, all the acquisitions, all this stuff. But it's going to take some time to get there, but we're getting some really good traction so far. So
Yeah,
again, it's really our core mission to make it
yeah.
affordable for everyone.
I read an interesting article a number of years ago, and they said the most insurance, their philosophy is, let's keep people healthy enough to make it till they get on Medicaid, then the government takes over the bill.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
not cure them,
Yep.
just get them healthy enough to make it through. They have a life on pills, sleeping pills, whatever, right? And then the government takes over. Well, the government takes over the bill. One other question: what's your success ratio? Have you been monitoring that? What type of
Yeah,
improvements are
yes.
your clients making?
So Mark, we do surveys here and there of our clients. I'm always talking to clients and members to get their feedback. For so far, it's about 75% to 80%.
Hmm.
It's encouraging for us. And then this is really based on their feedback and their ranking. Look, I think when it comes to sleep, touched to going back to the sleeping pill part, right? Really, I'd say only 2 out of the 10 current adults on sleeping pills should be on sleeping pills, right? Doesn't mean it's everyone that shouldn't be on sleeping pills.
Hmm.
We do have people, the majority, the 75 to 80% really tell us, hey, this has changed my life, right? This is
Hmm.
really helping me get better. A lot of people have gone off of sleeping pills after working with us, right? So that's really our goal. But look, there's always going to be, I'd say, the 10 to 20% that are like, hey, this is helping. But I have severe depression, or in another case, some kind of very severe physical
Yeah.
issue, physical pain or something. And then we have partners that we can refer them to, right? Like
Hmm.
actual doctors and physicians and psychiatrists that can help them through that. So, we're not claiming we're a cure all, right? By
Hmm.
no means are we saying that, but really we're that first line of defense. But the cool thing about sleep is that this usually takes care of 80 to 90% of the people. What we don't want is people, like we talked about earlier, throwing sleeping pills at people as the first line of defense. That's the real issue.
Yeah.
So,
Are
um, you
you
know, we're-
are you capturing is are you getting the data back from your app so you can so you're monitoring people's improvements from
yeah,
a central server as well?
right. Yeah. So Mark, we don't tap into our users' private data. Just full disclosure. What we do is we give them basically monthly surveys, right? I say, hey, like based on this sleep, right? How do you feel right
Oh,
now?
gotcha.
Or what's your average sleep, before
I
using
gotcha.
it
So
versus
you
after?
you send a questionnaire. You're not
Yeah.
pulling. You're not pushing the data to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're very careful about user private data, right? Unless they tell us, hey, like I'd like to share my data for the public use or something. Well, that we do not we definitely don't tap into personal data. We do the
But you have
coaching.
an option for people to be able to share that with you as well.
Yeah, we have the option, right? Like if we're like, hey, we're doing a clinical study or something, we actually need this data. People can always opt in, right? But
Yeah,
the
yeah,
default is that we don't take
yeah.
private data.
Wow, integrity in the software business. You are
Yeah.
a rarity in the business world, dude.
Listen, Mark, we've seen too many people do it the wrong way. So we're,
Yeah,
my family, my teachers always taught me even if you make a little less money, you gotta do things the right way. And we're very serious about that. This has been a hot topic in the health and data space. We definitely do not take any private data. We don't share any private data. We don't sell any private data. We're not in the business of that, right?
yeah.
If you're an ad business, that's a different story, right? That's how people actually survive and make money. But for us, look, that $60 that you pay us at the beginning, that's how we keep the lights on. And then we do everything we can to help you, right, get better sleep, build better life, better health, and all your stays with you.
Awesome. And about how big is your customer base now?
Yeah, so we've got a little over 3,000 customers, Mark. And a portion, so we have sort of earlier on, we had a free plan. We were giving this out to a lot of people. We're a paid, solution
Hmm.
now. Again, I got to keep the lights on. So
Yeah, yeah.
we run, special deals. So going into the holiday season, we're probably gonna open up a nice, discount too. So anyone that's interested, definitely check us out. But yeah, eventually, I think the sort of long-term growth vision is to work with big health systems, right? To really say, hey, how can we get this out to the millions and millions of people around the world? And to really just you can change a nation's health record around just by them
Yeah,
sleeping better. That's the
yeah, yeah.
crazy thing. And one number I'll throw out too before I finish the question is the United States, Mark, we lose over 140 billion US dollars in GDP every year because of poor sleep. All right. And that's a quantified number. Anyone can Google
Hmm.
that. That was really just done because, people, when you don't sleep, people aren't focused, right? They get sick, they're absent,
Hmm.
or they're just kind of, falling asleep on the
Zoned
job.
out. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that really reduces our productivity, and it also leads to accidents and health issues. And one of the things we're also talking with right now are auto insurance companies, because look, one, like, people forget, like, yes, people drunk driving, high driving, it's horrible, but one of the biggest causes for accidents is drowsy driving. And
Hmm.
that happens a lot in the early mornings and late at night. Now that we just went to daylight savings, that's a big issue that people aren't talking about as much, right? So we're
Hmm.
we're trying to help these insurance companies say, hey, look, if people are willing to let you track their safe driving, right, for a discount, like, what if they show you, hey, I'm actually sleeping well, right? I don't have to send you all my data, but if I'm showing you I'm sleeping 7 hours on average daily every month, I should be rewarded a little bit, right? Because I'm awake. I'm not one of those crazy people sleeping 2 hours and driving 100 miles an hour, right? So that's sort of another interesting thing we're exploring, and we think people should be rewarded and encouraged to live better and sleep better.
So can you use somebody who's having an issue staying awake driving, use your app as a way to let them know, hey, you're getting too tired here? Is it can you monitor that person and say, hey, you need to pull over, time for you to get some rest. You're starting to doze off. So that person is in charge of their own data, right? It's
Mhm.
not going to the insurance company, and the insurance company don't, oh, this
Exactly.
guy's, so it's all secure.
Yeah.
Man, to me, that could be a really cool add-on for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, that so currently we don't have that functionality, but we've obviously thought about these things, right? And sort of to dive into that more, I drive a Tesla myself. It's got cameras everywhere, right? Like, look, Elon sees everything right, in your car, like whether you know it or not. But one of the cool things that it does is that it can actually track if you're dozing off, right? And if you've got your hand off of the wheel, you're not moving, it actually stops the car. So to your point, Mark, one of the things that we're open to exploring down the road, if this thing really picks up with the insurance guys, is, hey, let's, well, whether it's Geico or Tesla or whoever, let's
Mhm.
work together, right? Like, I can, with the user's consent, of course, I can provide you this data showing, hey, hey, Mark's been sleeping well, he's been taking care of himself, right? And then if and when, someone with narcolepsy or some kind of issue is dozing off, like, your system can actually monitor that. And that data can be basically a process for us to say, okay, wow, okay, because you haven't been sleeping well, we'll issue you a warning in your car saying, hey, stay awake, or don't drive, right? Because some
Mhm.
that, let's say I've been traveling for 5 days and I didn't sleep at all, I probably shouldn't be driving, right? So
Mhm. Mhm.
those are all things we're open to exploring. Obviously, as with anything, data privacy is important, but I do think we're really more moving towards that sort of like a transparency of like, okay, I can share my driving data or my sleep data, and it saves me $200 a month. A lot of people are going to probably say yes, right? So
Mhm.
I think that's really the future. Whether you know it or not, look, people have all of our data, right? Like, all the big
Right.
tech companies have a lot of data we don't even know about. So I don't think, unless you're hiding something crazy, like, I think this is really the direction we're going into. And I think, end of day, we want to encourage, right? Because behavioral health is hard, right? We want to have these things that encourage people to build better habits over time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, I'm really appreciating you sharing all your technology and your wisdom with us today. I do have one question I ask guests at the end of the show. And my question is, what do you really love about life?
Yeah, Mark. Wow, that's a deep question. I think a lot about that every day. I'm grateful for my family, my friends, and just being in the health space. I went through a health scare too this earlier this year. It just kind of makes you realize, like, hey, it's you can make all the money, you can have all the accolades,
Mm,
but when you take your last breath, if I knew that I was able to love the people I love and get the love back that I got, I know it
hmm
sounds corny, then that's worth it, right? Because
hmm
I'm like, yeah,
No, it doesn't sound corny. It sounds great, dude.
yeah, I mean, Mark, I think it's unless it's there's a joke that's like when you're driving in snow and the atheist gets out of here. You don't have to be religious or anything, but I think you go through things in life where you
Yep.
realize, like, you know what, like this is what really matters. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful. I had some great family, some great friends, some great mentors, and win or lose, those are always people that I'm always going to have.
Awesome. And how do people get in touch with you, sir?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. So feel free to visit our website at www.zensleep.ai. You can Google us too if it's easier. My email is sunny, SUNNY, at zensleep.ai. So check us out. And you can find us on the App Store too. Just type in Zen Sleep or that little purple, moon. And just check it out, and give us any feedback you have. We're always happy to chat with our customers, always trying to make our products better. And end of the day, just trying to get better sleep to everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on, Sonny. Pleasure to
All
have you
right.
here.
Thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate
You're,
it.
you're welcome.